Welcome back to the Coaching Collective podcast. Today, we are delighted to have Matt Orchard on with us. Matt, run us through a little bit about yourself, everything you're currently sort of doing, and just your past and how you got here.
Damn, we're just gonna like dive straight into this bitch,
Yeah,
huh?
he's just going straight in on you, mate.
Deep
I'm
dive.
actually, I'm actually, I feel like you should be offended that he didn't drop the IFBB Pro like I said I was going to.
I'm kind of glad you did it. I'm kind of glad you did it.
I was like, I'm going to start it with IFBB Classic Physique Pro.
No, a bit about me, man. Like, I'm what you see is what you get with me. So, bodybuilding is what I do. It's not who I am. Um,
I like that. Sorry to cut you off.
no, you're good. Yeah, actually, for anyone that sort of doesn't know me personally, like, I'm a bit of a bit of a cognitive human being. So the brain's constantly like ticking over. I don't shy away from talking about like my mental health and, the space in which that takes up in my life and things like that. So I had some pretty cool conversations with people over the last few days and discussing how bodybuilding can sort of rule people's lives a little bit too much sometimes. Um, Especially when people think that they need to be a certain way 365 days a year. Yeah, we kind of like resounded on the finality of the bodybuilding is what we do. It's not who we are. So I think it's really
Mm.
important.
Yeah,
I
for
like
sure.
there's one thing you said a while back. I think it was you that said it. It stuck with me for a bit. It's like bodybuilding's not it's not complicated. It's hard, but it's not complicated. It's literally just like eat, sleep, train. And that's literally all it is. And then your life just stays as it is, apart from those things.
Yeah,
Yeah, Tom and I have a saying, you can chew gum and walk, right?
it's true.
So
Yeah.
it's like people that think people that think that bodybuilding is all encompassing. And I mean, obviously we all know that it can be, and it definitely has to be at points in time in your life where it has to be something that you focus on 24/7 if you want to be successful and you want to progress, whether that's off-season phase, comp prep phase, whatever the case may be. But um, the only thing that really needs to change in your life if you're a high-level competitive bodybuilder is like the 90 minutes in the gym 5 times a week.
Yeah.
We've all still got to eat food. We've all still got to drink water. We've all still got to take our vitamins, right? So, um, yeah, in terms of being complicated, it's pretty straightforward, but it can be really tough at times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
it's very true because I feel like, and it depends too because I think if you just already have a regimented life, or at least not so much regimented, but like at least you have some structure. I feel like everybody needs to have some sort of structure to their day to day or just their life in general. And I feel like any normal person can be like that as well. And then just like being a bodybuilder is just, I guess, a different kind of structure. Like you're just doing it different to a normal person's day to day life.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I guess sort of segueing into how I sort of started bodybuilding, people always ask, like, how long have you been doing it for, blah, blah, blah. And I've only really been competitively bodybuilding for, 6 years. Um,
Mhm.
Specifically weight training for hypertrophy and bodybuilding for like 8 years. But, I played pro basketball before that. I played AFL for 10 years before that. So it's like I've been living the life of an athlete since I could walk. It
Yeah.
was just kind of like the avenue of which that I walked down was forever changing. So yeah, it's like in terms of regiment, routine, wanting to progress both physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, like that's never changed for me. And I've kind of just like found that home in bodybuilding and I think that's probably going to be what I stay in.
What did get you into bodybuilding coming out of like a pro level of basketball?
Yeah, so I played 2.5 or 3 years over in the US, like in the collegiate basketball system. So um came up playing like juniors in Melbourne. Was lucky to sign a scholarship to go overseas and play basketball overseas. And then it was probably about midway through my second year over there that I was like realized how far out of my depths I was. Like
Yeah.
at the time I was, you know, 75 kilos, probably like wringing wet, 5'10", white Australian kid in like an American college sports system. Like you guys put the pieces together, right?
Yeah.
Um, like some of the talent and some of the like the athletes that they've got over there are just like you can't even comprehend
Crazy.
it.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so I was like, I obviously loved what I was doing, but whilst we were over there, we obviously had a bit more of a structured routine, like strength and conditioning program. Like we worked with strength coaches, and we had specific times that we had to be in the gym for weight training and kinesiology and things like that. And that's kind of where my development for like hypertrophy and strength and conditioning and like the nutrition side of it probably started. I kind of realized that I was out of my depths, like from a physicality standpoint. So it was the want to get better. Um, and then, yeah, so I just started developing a love for weight training, for bodybuilding, and a better understanding for nutrition and hydration and things like that. And once it kind of got to a point where, I realized I wasn't going to make it big time playing basketball, like the dream was always to play in the NBA. I never shied away from that.
Yeah.
Once I kind of realized that that was sort of off the table by about midway through my second year of college, I was like, all right, let's try and find something else I can make some money off. And I kind of fell into bodybuilding that way.
Fuck.
When you watch basketball now, NBA, do you always think like, fuck, that
That
could have
could
been
be.
me, or like, so
Well,
good out there?
I mean, I played it like I don't like to openly talk about it because basketball's not really like the main part of my life anymore. But I played with a lot of guys that are playing in the NBA now. Like I've worked out with Kyrie Irving before.
Yeah.
I played with a bunch of guys that are like starters in the NBA. To be fair, like playing against them back then made me realize that I was never going to be good enough to play in the NBA. So like I'm not coming out and saying that like I whooped Kyrie in a game of one-on-one. Like I'm not saying
Yeah.
that happened. I'm just saying, so it's like it's really cool to know the people that you kind of played with or against or knew of from an early age, and then seeing them being like super successful on a global level like that is really cool.
Yeah.
No, I definitely once I watch basketball for the enjoyment of watching it now. And there's nothing else more to it.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
hard. It's like with me with soccer. Every time I watch it now, I look and I'm like, fuck, I reckon like if I was there, I'd be going here and I'd be going there. I could have played out there, but like no fucking chance I would have made
No,
it.
all right. Well, let me ask you this: when was the last time you played a proper game of soccer?
The last time I played soccer, I would have been 18. So
Okay,
that
so
was what, 6 years ago, less, 5, 6 years ago.
it's really difficult for me. So I still play a game of basketball every week on a Tuesday night.
Oh
Like I just
dear.
I just
Yeah,
play
okay.
like
Yeah.
domestically.
Fuck, that's
Um,
mad.
well, it's mad until I wake up on a Wednesday morning, bro.
I was gonna say,
How are those
imagine you
knees?
can't running on a basketball
Fuck,
court.
bro, how are those knees going? That'd be
It's
butchered.
not great. It's
Yeah.
not great. There's a
Can you jump high?
there's a I can still grab the rim.
Fuck, it's pretty good.
Well, I'll see. Well, I'll see. What I'll do is because I've got a game tonight, right? I'll see if I can grab the rim for you and I'll film it and I'll tag you on IG.
Do
Um,
it.
but also if I tear an Achilles or pop my hamstring,
My fault.
I'm suing you guys for whatever pro winnings that I was going to earn in my next 12 months. I'm suing you guys for it.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
All right, we'll just never release this
It
podcast.
never happened. It never happened.
Matt, no, we never spoke to him.
Nah.
I tried playing soccer in prep. I was saying this on the last podcast, I think with Anthony or Ryan. I just went to like have a kick down the road. And James in I think it's Thornbury, I think. It's a massive soccer court, soccer pitch, sorry. I went for like 5 minutes, have a kick. It was like
Yeah.
6 weeks out or something. I reckon I had 2 shots on goal. I just packed it up and I walked home. I'm like,
The worst bit's having to chase the ball. It's like,
yeah, I
oh,
know.
I have to go
I
get the ball now.
know.
When I was in prep, I used to go kick the footy, and I used to just like run around the oval, kick the footy, kick for goal, jog down and
Yeah,
get it. But like that
Easy
fucking
steps.
killed me as well.
that's the thing. I'll go shoot hoops just by myself, like um just on prep, and like 45 minutes will go by and like 6,000 steps like gone just from
Yeah,
kicking the ball around.
and at least it's fun.
There's
Yeah.
actually a basketball court just outside of Doldy's in the car park there where Barclays Square is. It's like a
Yeah.
big ring. And Ryan was doing that at the start of this prep, and he'll be there like with his kids for like an hour. And he's like, "Man, I finished my daily steps just running around the court,
Yeah, it's
having shots and having fun. You don't even think about it either because you're focused on this.
Yeah, you're actually enjoying it.
It's actually a really good way.
Yeah,
No, my biggest issue with playing basketball nowadays though is that, I'm 110 kilos now and don't quite have the mobility and agility that I used to have. So my brain still thinks I'm as good as I used to be at basketball though.
yeah.
So like my brain's like, yeah, you could do this move, let's do that. And I get halfway through it, my body's like, bro, what the
No,
fuck are
you
you doing? What
can't.
are you
Like,
doing,
no,
bro?
you can't do
What are
this.
you doing?
Yeah, man. I stopped playing basketball probably just after COVID. I reckon it would have been 2022. Oh, nah, fuck. It would have been just before COVID, actually. Either or, but like I was like 95 kilos playing, and like that used to be hard. I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine doing it 110.
Mm.
I
And
tell
like,
everyone's like, how do you go running? I'm like, the running in a straight line isn't the problem. It's the
yeah,
stopping and the changing direction.
yeah. Well, it's funny. I went for a run last week because I was like, oh, I'll see how I'm going. And I did a run. I was running at like 5 minute 10 kilometers, and I was like,
That's pretty
fuck, I'm
impressive.
actually pretty good. I was like, I'm pretty good at this. But I was like, there is no way. I think I did like 3Ks, and I was like, there is no way I could do this beyond like how people do like 10Ks. I
What was the calf pump like? Was the calf
Oh
pump?
man, it was so bad. It was so bad. When I stopped, it was like one of those ones where I think I ran like the K and a half, and then I stopped, took a breather, and was walking. And I think I walked for like 100 meters, and I was like, I can't, I have to run again. Because it
You
was like
don't have
the
to.
build up was fucked. It was like I could feel everything locking up. And I was like, there's no way. I'm like, I've just got to go again. Like it just
How are
took
your knees?
running.
Knees were fucked?
Yeah, you know what? It wasn't that bad the next day. I thought it was going to be a lot worse.
Yeah, okay. What are your knees like, Matt? Are they fucked?
They're not great, bro. They're
I
not
had a
great.
client, I gave her sissy squats, and for some reason on the app, it didn't upload the video of Izzy doing them. So, like, I sent her a video of me at the gym doing them. So
Yeah, yeah.
I did 2 reps, bro, and I just fucking, like, carked it, man. I had to dig into the files and find a video of Izzy doing it. I sent it to her. I'm like, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I can't do this for
I
shit.
can't do it myself.
What's funny is like I trained with someone that I haven't trained with before on the weekend. And we like walked into the gym and when you're like, what's your normal pre-gym routine, blah blah blah. And they were like, "Oh, I just like walk in the gym and start training." And I'm like,
That sounds like me.
I'm like, I'm like, what? I've got to do like a 45-minute like stretching routine, warm up. I've got to get all my hydration and supplementation like sorted. I've got to do like my rotators. I've got to do my activation. I'm like, nah, I can't just walk
What
into the gym and train anymore.
What is your thoughts on stretching? I had this conversation with someone the other day in terms of like stretching before you train. Have you
Um,
heard of that?
in terms of like stretching the fascia and the actual tissue,
Yes.
yeah, I'm against it personally.
Yeah. Okay.
When you're talking about like, I mean, we can get into the intricacies of insertions and what have you, but the way that your muscle fibers are kind of made up, the idea of like stretching them actually increases the risk for injury when you're trying to create hypertrophy. So for me, it's like more about mobility and activation than it is about stretching the muscle pre-training.
For sure.
There's conflicting evidence for like stretching post-workout. Obviously, like that kind of pushes blood into the muscle, which can like stimulate recovery. Um, but yeah, you know, in
Yeah.
terms of like, especially, okay, so let me clarify. Maybe the idea of static stretching pre-training is probably obsolete, but the dynamic stretching or
Dynamic.
like stretching within a movement, is probably a little bit more advantageous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that one.
Yeah. I'm just a huge, I just do like, I just really prioritize my warm up sets, my first like two movements usually.
Hmm.
Like do stupid shit. Like I'll sit in the bottom position. Like if it's a chest press, I'll literally just sit here for like fucking 10 seconds. Like a lot,
Yeah.
just
And
stuff
then
like
like
that.
I mean, depending on like the ideology, I'm sure you guys are probably similar when you're programming for a client. It's like your first like proper movement on a workout. It's never usually going to be like an RPE 10, right? We're
Yeah.
talking about like a big stretching movement. So for me, I trained chest yesterday and was training with a younger kid. I like to sort of train with like just random young kids in the gym just for because I can.
Yeah.
Um, and he was like, he was sort of saying the same thing. He's like, oh, I just walk into the gym and like just jump under a barbell or some dumbbells and just start pressing. And I'm like, oh God. Like I'm always either like doing an isolateral like chest stretch with a
Yeah.
cable fly variant like before I start pressing because we're trying to like activate and force blood into the muscle before we're trying to stimulate through a pressing movement.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's good as well when people aren't very good at, I guess, the mind to muscle connection side of things, even just starting with flies and stuff like that. I feel like chest is the biggest one that you find people struggle with the most for that activation side of things.
That one, and then definitely like anything that's lap biased as well.
Yeah,
Um, like I feel like 85% of my clients have like some form of an iliac row,
at
like
the
to start a
start.
back day.
Yeah.
And you guys are probably the same, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like they'll do a lat pull down, which is just all rhomboid, and then they'll go
Yeah.
to a T-bar row, which is like all trap, and it's like
Yeah.
cool. You wonder why your back's like 2D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legit.
Yeah,
Feel like, yeah, usually that lat stimulation is good just for priming of the session in general anyway.
yeah.
Like I feel like it's missed, especially if you get people doing like compounds. I don't know if you get many people to do like deadlifts and stuff like that on their pool days. I
Mhm.
feel like it's good to throw something like the unilateral movements in first because you can help with the stimulation through that deadlift.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you could even like um, compound on that even more, it's like before a big anterior day, like I really like to warm up like my rear delts and my lats before I press sometimes as well.
Yep.
So like warming up an antagonist muscle group can actually be extremely advantageous from like a rigidity standpoint, like especially if you're pressing, like making sure that your lats and rear delts are engaged and locked in for a movement is going to give you so much more stability to press the weight.
Yeah.
And hence why my warm-ups take 45 minutes before I start training.
Usually
Man.
my walks are long as well. Today though, because I got I got there a bit late. I literally jumped.
I saw you posted like a get in, get out story like
Yeah,
20
bro.
minutes ago.
Bro, my session went for literally just over 40 minutes, which
Yeah.
usually I'm in here for an hour and a half, hour
Yeah.
20. It was quick, but it was good, man. I felt so pumped by the end of it, just like being quite quick between exercises. I mean, it's probably not the best way to train, but today it's a one-off, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went in, I did literally just two warm-ups of just like a row, single arm row, and then I was just ready to get straight into my top set. And man, the session was great. But off season as well, I noticed I don't really need as much warming up either. Especially when I'm like peak food weight compared to prep. I feel like I'm gonna snap in half with everything I do.
Really.
You know what you've done this morning, bro?
Mm.
You've officially shocked the body.
Yeah.
So
You're gonna grow, guaranteed.
Yeah, guaranteed.
guaranteed gains today, bro. Guaranteed gains.
I was actually having this discussion with a client as well, and I was saying how when you're in prep versus when I feel like you're deep in the off season,
Yeah.
I feel like you've sort of, it's like when you're in deep into prep, it's like you got to be super careful of the joints. And I feel like even deep in the off season, you also have to be very similar because you're pressing so much heavier or you're like just lifting so much heavier that
Oh, yeah.
sometimes like free weight movements deep into an off season have to be like, you have to be a little bit cautious of it.
I was saying, I tell everyone there's only two periods of the entire year which I actually like really thoroughly enjoy bodybuilding, right? It's like from 12 weeks out to 4 weeks out, right?
Yeah,
And then from like 4 weeks post show to 12 weeks post show.
for
They're like
sure.
the only two times in bodybuilding of the year
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
you're like extremely happy because
yeah,
you're lean but not peeled and dead. You're like strong, but you're not fat and watery and blubbery. Like you've got good cardiovascular system. You're eating enough food that you're not starving, but you're not eating too much food that you're just
yeah,
engorged like
yeah,
24/7. It's like they're the only two windows of the year
so
which
good.
bodybuilding is like really, really fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so true. I
Which
reckon
is
the
the
reverse.
seasonal competitor, but not anyone else.
Yeah.
It's that reverse phase that's the most fun because then it's like training wise, it's sort of like, oh, I can get away with just going in and just doing what I like.
Uh-huh.
I don't have to like be too structured. It's like I just got to get back into the enjoyment of training again.
Yeah.
Just
Like,
the fatigue, the stress. It is
yeah,
a nice period.
just gets rid of it all. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know. My post show, I was so fatigued, bro. I was just fucked. But training, you just don't realize like how much you enjoy training until it like comes and it's like, shit, I fucking love this. This is so much fun. And you
Yeah,
just completely forget, which is
yeah.
bad. It shouldn't be like that.
Because you're
It,
in prep and it's like, oh man, I have to train today.
Well, it's interesting you say that. Like, I was having this conversation with someone yesterday, and like, what is because it's a first time competitor that I was talking to, and they were like, "Oh, do you really love like show day? Are you a competitive bodybuilder because you love the idea of competing? Like, what do you guys think of that?"
Hmm.
I don't know, bro. I feel like I like prep better than I like competing.
That was 100% my answer, right? So I
Yeah.
said to him like, the idea of and Ian Valier always said this best, right? I always love like Ian's take on this sort of philosophy. It's like especially when you think about the idea of bodybuilding as a competition, because the day of stage is hardly a competition. Um,
Hmm.
it's more of a pageant, right? The competition is the
Yeah.
16 weeks in the lead up to that, and that's the shit that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The gym, the cardio, the challenging yourself every day. The fact that I get to display that on stage is kind of like a byproduct, and like you got to do it. But the idea of
Yeah.
like actual competing on stage doesn't really interest me that much. Like if you told
Yeah.
me that I had to bodybuild but never compete again for the rest of my life, I'm like, no, cool. Like it wouldn't really bother me too much.
Mm.
Yeah. I think if you're just focused on jumping on the stage, then you gotta really think to yourself, like, is it worth it going through
Yeah.
all of this just for like not a half an hour on a
Half an
stage.
hour, fucking
But
5 minutes.
depends who you are. I'm just kidding.
Well, if you're doing like 87 classes in a natural federation, then maybe you'll be
Yeah,
okay with the stage time. But
yeah.
for guys that, especially if you've competed once or twice, in the IFBB or whatever, it's like, okay, all you've got is a novice and an open class, or maybe just an open class.
Mm,
And if you've only got, two call outs in that lineup, like cool, you're on stage for fucking 8 minutes, bro.
Hmm.
A lot of
mhm.
time to be prepping for 8 minutes of who else
Yeah.
knows who's going to show up, right?
It's crazy to think as well, especially when you're in amateur bodybuilding, when there's no like monetary reward from it. And it's
How
like you
funny
do
is how
all this
funny is that
prep, get
conversation with
all this money.
how funny is that conversation with people that don't understand bodybuilding, and you sort of talk to them about like a prep that you're doing or whatever. And they're like, "So what do you win when you win?" And you're like, "Oh shit,
The medal.
nothing."
Yeah, it's fucked.
Yeah, it's a
It's
pretty weird
like,
concept.
yeah, it is so weird. I feel like it's very much, I don't know. I feel like even for me, I don't know how like you two sort of pictured like the starting of like doing your first prep, but like I just remember doing it to be like, fuck, I want to challenge myself.
Mm,
Like that was the reason I did it. I didn't even think I liked bodybuilding that much at the time when I did my first show. It was just more like, nah, this is all right. Let's just do this because I did my first show during lockdown. So it was like I was just at home and I was like, Michael, my brother was like, oh, do you want to prep? And I was like, yeah, fuck it, why not?
yeah,
It's like, what else am I doing?
I got nothing else to
I
do.
was like,
Like,
the government's paying me a wage. Like, it's
Yeah.
fine. I was getting paid to bodybuild at that point. That was great.
that's a good time.
Nice.
Yeah, I love
Nice.
that actually.
Yeah. For me, like, I just wanted to see if because I loved training for years. And I just thought, like, I wanted to just jump into it and see, like, if I actually enjoyed prepping, dieting hard, feeling fucked and pushing through it. And I
So,
did, which was, I'm so glad I did it. So honestly, like, to be fair, I wasn't in like the best position to start a prep. But I
Mm,
said to Mike, like, fuck it, I'm doing it anyway. Kill me if you have
yeah,
to. I want to get on stage and see if I actually
yeah,
enjoy doing it. And it was worth it in the end. So
some kind of level
yeah.
of psychotic.
For me it was all about, like you said, like challenging yourself, right? My everything in my life has always kind of been like progression in some way, shape, or form. It's like, okay, so what's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? And
Mm.
it was like I started learning about training, and then this will be an interesting question. Like, who was your like an original inspiration, and like, because it's always funny for me to look back and think about who mine was. Like, who's the first person you remember seeing and being like, okay, I want to look like that guy. Like, let's start working towards looking like that guy.
mine was Zach Perner.
Nice. I
Yeah.
love
Uh,
that.
I don't know if you'll know. I don't know if you two will know this guy. You might. Do you know Devon Physique?
I do know Devin Physique.
Devon Physique. He was the
Yeah.
first person that I ever saw that I was like, fuck. I was like, yeah, I could try and want to look like that. At the
Yeah.
time, obviously didn't know how much gear he was probably jamming, but I
And the
was like, yeah,
person.
this is attainable, maybe. Naturally. Like, we'll
And
see.
then,
Because I'm pretty sure he never said that he was on gear. He was always claiming that he was natural as well.
yeah,
Legends,
that was
I'll
the
put a
good old
face
days
to him,
where
I know the
everyone was
name.
natural.
Yeah, everyone was natural. Like
Yeah.
Simeon Panda.
Oh. Okay, Jude, so how does that make you feel to know that you're now 30 kilos of tissue heavier than Zach Perner? Or
Well, actually, when I first like saw him, like he was working with EHP, he was young as.
yeah.
I actually joined like his little coaching program he had like on his app where he'd update shit. And that was my like first ever coach, and I was young as I had no idea what I was doing, and it was great because like I went from nothing and just training and eating like just shit like a complete gym bro,
Mm,
and having some structure like a structured routine, like your 3 sets of 10 on a dumbbell press and like food was all mapped out. Obviously, I'm not sure. I don't think it was actually him doing it. I feel like it was like he had people over in the Philippines or something like running the app. The way you could just tell by the emails you'd get. But it was structured and it did okay. Like I went from nothing to some form of structure, and those like newbie games were coming in. So it was actually really, really good. But
Best coach ever.
not the most progress running.
Some little Filipino on their like Acer laptop in
Yeah.
on the floor.
But no, it was good. But no, I've come pretty far from then. But I still speak to him here and there as well. So
yeah, I actually saw him last week. He was at the Muscle Nation like meetup.
oh yeah.
It's funny. It's funny you say that. One of my good mates was the photographer at it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Anthony.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Small world.
Yeah,
well,
That's crazy.
Julian, our photographer,
yeah,
he does photography for Zach now as well.
yeah. Doesn't he do them for his brother?
Yeah, for Joel. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, bro. Now that you said Devon Physique, I know who you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Natty has.
yeah.
I wasn't gonna bring him up, but I like didn't he like beat the shit out of his wife or something like that?
I don't know, something like that. I'm pretty sure he does OnlyFans now as well.
Okay, okay.
Probably wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, he does
So are
OnlyFans.
you going down that path too? Like, is he still an
I don't know.
inspiration for
Fuck,
you, or
man.
like?
The money's pretty good.
Okay, all right,
I don't
you're
reckon
okay.
I don't reckon I'm good looking enough for it though.
I don't know. With that mustache, bro, you probably got a you probably got a
Hey,
niche.
this is the only form of facial hair that I can grow. That's why I have it.
Dude,
You have you tried?
Nah, bro, I can't grow facial hair.
I
But
shaved last night. What are you talking about?
yeah, fuck, wouldn't surprise me. Jude probably did as well.
Does, does yours grow long, Matt? Can you get like a full on?
Yeah. Well, it would have been a few years ago now. So I must have grown it over COVID or something like that.
Hmm.
And it got pretty ridiculous. I'll see if I can pull up a photo. And then like November came around. And like everyone always grows a mustache for November, obviously, which is like the whole premise of it. But I was like, no, let's try and do something different. So I got like 4 or 5 bodybuilders. I got like Taylor Crabtree to do it when his beard was like fucking huge. So we all raised like money and we all shaved our beards off. Like we all had like everyone was growing a beard for over a year, and we ended up raising like 8 or 9 grand or something like that between
Ah,
us all for November. Yeah, and we all clean shaved our beard. It was horrible. We all hated it, and it was we all looked disgusting, but it
Yeah.
was all for a good cause. It was really cool.
yeah.
So yeah, so I can grow a pretty decent beard.
You should grow it out and shave your head, then step on stage and not tell anyone, and just have a completely different look.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen lately, but I don't have a choice on whether or not I'm going to be shaving my head pretty soon. So
Fuck, bro, it's funny when me and Jude jumped on it because I'm using like the good webcam at the moment, and I
yeah,
was like, I don't like this angle, bro. You can start seeing how much my hair's thinning. It's
yeah.
like I like went around. I was like, Jude, give me a sec. I'm gonna look for a hat. I legit couldn't find one. I was like, fuck. I was like, well, too bad now.
That's funny.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
hair is thinning out a little bit, isn't it?
Shut up, cunt.
You know what though? Front on, you can't tell. It's only
I
when
know
you
you
go.
can't. It's like when you
Oh yeah.
fucking I don't care. Call me out.
I remember the first time because I always train in a hat, right? And I remember the
Yeah.
first time I filmed like an incline press where I like laid back on the bench and it was being filmed from like behind. And I was like, I remember like filming the video and then like not thinking about it and then watching the video later and like opening it and being like, damn, I filmed someone else in the gym by accident. But I was like, oh no, that's my bald ass head. Like
Hey,
shit.
fuck. It's like that's not going in the video.
Delete.
I didn't post that
Like
one. Don't worry
me.
about that.
That's like me just then when I'm looking at my hair, I'm gonna blur this out. It's the first time I'm ever gonna edit a fucking
Edit a
podcast
video.
video.
Oh, that's funny.
Blur out my fucking head.
Oh man, have you ever shaved
Shit.
your head, James? I don't think you have.
Have I what?
Shave your head.
Fuck. I shaved my head probably like 5 years ago.
The suit you?
Nah, not really, bro. My head's too fucking weird shaped.
Mm. Does Alana like it?
Weird shape.
Nah, Alana hates it, bro.
Fair enough.
She's like, I'm like sitting there. I was like, after the wedding, I was like, I'm shaving my head. I'm like, I'm getting it fucking shaved. I'm shaving it. I'm like, I'm only keeping my hair for the wedding. Then I'm shaving my head, and then now I've got to fucking commit to that. So, but I have to find like a nice shaved head look that I like. Like I need a nice fade or something. I need to find a way. I just reckon my hairline's a bit too shit for a shaved head,
Oh, it's not bad.
but we'll
So
see.
true.
Maybe I'll
I'll
go get it done. Maybe I'll go get it done after this.
I'll win a couple of pro shows for us this year and we'll get sponsored. We'll all go across to Turkey. We'll be all right.
That's not
I
a bad idea.
know. Pro shows this year. Which ones?
Hey, you gonna get
Oh, you snuck it out. That was a
you gonna get the
good little
scoop?
segue.
Well,
Hey, look, I'll be honest with you. This podcast, if this makes it any better for you, this podcast probably doesn't come out for another 5 weeks.
oh no. We're like
You also
it's
don't need to answer it either if you're keeping it a little bit hidden.
say again.
You also don't need to answer it if you're keeping it a little
Oh
bit
no, bro, I'm way past that point in my life. No, I honestly I haven't 100% decided. So like nothing's booked in. So the kind of the two options that I'm sort of tossing and turning between right now is there's some shows in China and
Mhm.
Japan in like
Mhm.
end of June, July.
Mhm.
Um, so that was kind of like option number one. And then a few Aussies are going over and doing like Chicago, Tampa.
hidden. Yeah,
Oh, the
Jackson.
back end of the year, really?
I think it's August.
Yeah.
It's like mid-year.
Yeah, either July or August. So kind of around the same time as when I competed last year. But so last year I did uh, New York, Louisiana, New Mexico, and then Oklahoma, and that kind of finished right as kind of
They
like
started.
the next part would
Yeah.
start. So then you've got like Vancouver, Toronto, Tampa, and then Texas as well.
Yeah.
There's a few people doing like that run of shows. So
Do you know exactly? Oh, well, can you say exactly who's doing it or who's said they're doing it?
uh I don't know if they've said
They've
that they're
said
doing it or
anything?
not.
Yeah, fair enough,
Yeah.
fair enough.
It's a bunch of the Flex Success boys.
Oh, yeah, that'll check out. So what, like Cam and
Yeah.
Tom
I
and
think
all
they've
that
all
kind
pretty
of
much
stuff.
announced it, but I think like
Yeah.
Alex Connors is going to do some shows.
Oh, no shit.
I think it might be a couple of girls going over and jumping in some of the figure and physique shows as well, which would be kind
Yeah.
of cool. So, and if you can
Nice.
do it with like a big bunch of people, like
Yeah, that'd be mad.
it'd be more enjoyable, and you can kind of like work around it from a financial standpoint a little bit easier as well.
Stay
Yeah,
together.
just get one big house and just all share it and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like last year doing the whole US tour and kind of being like the first time I've ever traveled like as a pro competitively bodybuilding, you sort of some things would pop up that you kind of didn't really think would happen and kind of costs an extra couple of dollars here and there and it all adds up. And when, I was over in the US for 5 weeks and, it cost me like 35, 40 grand to do the whole trip.
Especially
Yeah.
when you're walking into every second shoe shop you walk past.
Yeah. That's bad.
Actually, I saw one of your videos. Was it the last show? Were you by yourself? Like, I think Tom left.
Yeah.
And
So
then,
my last two shows I did entirely by myself. So,
yeah,
um,
wow.
yeah, my coach and good friend Tom came across with me, and my videographer and good friend Mitch came across as well. So the three of us did 2 weeks or two and a bit weeks together. So they came with me to New York. We did the whole New York trip together, and
Mhm.
then they came to Shreveport, which was in Louisiana, and then they came home because they had some stuff that they needed to take care of back home. And then yeah, I did the last 2 weeks completely solo, which was definitely something different.
Yeah,
Well,
fuck.
would be interesting.
Yeah, it was odd. Like it's you sort of get to the end of the prep and sometimes you almost don't mind being alone for
Hmm.
days on
A
end.
little bit, yeah.
Yeah. And then like in New York, that was a bit of a drama. We had got screwed over with our Airbnb and then we ended up like staying in Manhattan and just like
That'll cost you a fortune.
yeah, man, like and
Yeah.
we kind of got to a point where we're like fuck it, you're only going to be in New York for a week, like
Once. Yeah.
once in your life, right? So we kind of went balls deep in New York a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you kind of like, it's all about learning along the way and, understanding what's going to work and what's not going to work. And um, yeah, so it was the 2 weeks by myself were very interesting, like traveling, training, doing everything like completely solo. And then because of the time difference as well, it's like you've got, 10 hours out of the day where you can't even contact anyone back home.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting concept doing it completely solo.
Mm.
Yeah, it would be, especially with the no contact. You'd sort of just need to be like, your best friend will be like Instagram stories posting to it and sort of just sharing a bit of stuff. Because what else am I meant to do realistically?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why like I got pretty heavy into like the vlogging and YouTubing most of what I was doing over there.
Hmm.
Purely because it just like kind of gave me something to do and it's really awesome now like being able to look back and see how much of the content and footage I was able to get and
Yeah.
because you remember like bro when you're like in between shows 2 weeks out from a show like you're not cognitively remembering everything that you're doing on like a day-to-day basis. It's like everything just becomes a blur at that point.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
if you're not like thinking about what you're eating next, you're making what you're eating next, or you're doing cardio, or you're kind of locked in the moment a little bit. So being able to document it, especially because I was by myself entirely, yeah, it was a really kind of cool thing to do and cool thing to process.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were good videos. They were enjoyable. I remember on the podcast as well, you were saying, I always remember this one podcast because I was driving to Bairnsdale for work at the time, and it was Bairnsdale was meant to be like a 3 hour drive, but I went at night time, so it took like 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
This was not long after my show, so like I was pissing still every fucking 10 minutes. I
Yeah.
was stopping every time to go to a tree. You were saying it was funny as how like you were driving through the hood and like I can't remember the story exactly, but I don't know, when people giving you like these looks or like all these like gang looking guys, just like I think you had a house there, that's what it was.
This
You
is the
bought
Airbnb that we got screwed
Yeah,
over,
yeah,
bro.
that's right. Yeah, what happened?
I nearly didn't make the New York Pro because I was getting gag initiated. That's why.
Gang initiators.
So So I'm gonna throw Tom and Mitch under the bus. You guys know Tom. I'm pretty sure you guys know
Yeah,
Tom.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
Do you know Mitch Noss at all?
No.
not
No,
personally, no.
no. So anyway, they both look like very tough, very strong, very. male alpha dominant human beings. They're both the biggest pussies on this planet, man. I'm gonna tell you straight up. I'm gonna tell you straight up. So anyway, so I like I don't want to be inappropriate here, but I'm
Nah,
just
be
gonna
as
say,
inappropriate as you want.
okay, we're good. We're
Yeah,
okay.
you're all good.
Um, so I've like through my time in the US and different variations of places that I've been in, I can handle myself in different like cultures, we'll say.
Yeah.
And we pulled up to this like I don't know where they booked. They booked something. I don't know if they something wasn't right.
They fucked
So
something up.
all I'm gonna say is something wasn't right. And like we pull up and literally in the house next to the Airbnb that we booked is like, have you seen the movie Training Day?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like think like the hood in Training Day. Like they're
yeah.
playing like there's pipples tied to the front like yard. Like they're playing craps in the front like on the nature strip. Like
Oh fuck it hell.
rap music. Like you can smell weed like everywhere. I'm like, we're in the hood. And I'm like, oh, I'll just get out of the car and ask these guys if we're in the right place. And they're like, no, like don't get out the car. Like
Stay
don't
in the
get out
car.
the car. Um, so anyway, like we ended up just like bailing on it all together and like driving back into the city and getting a room in like Manhattan and like it all worked out. But it was just like, yeah,
Oh,
it was
so wait, you didn't actually get screwed over on the Airbnb. You guys just didn't want to get out of the car into the Airbnb. So nothing happened. It wasn't like, they double booked us or anything. It was just like you guys pulled up and you're like, there's not a fucking
Fuck
chance
you.
of saying.
You know what, bro? To be fair, I reckon I would have done the same because fuck that.
Oh,
And then
absolutely.
like it was because like obviously they put photos up of the Airbnb and then like
Yeah.
the front of the house looked
Nothing
nothing
like it.
nothing alike. Like it was ridiculous. And there was just too many inconsistencies. And then we tried to call the people that we booked the Airbnb through, and then they weren't even picking up, and they were kind of like ghosting us and ignoring us. So like the whole thing just kind of felt really off. So we like just
Yeah.
canceled it through Airbnb. We got all our money back and everything like
Oh,
that.
that's
Everything was
Oh,
all
that's
everything was
good.
all fine, but it was just the process of events of like how
yeah.
it happened and how it all sort of unfolded was just like I'm pretty sure I saw a horror movie that like started this way
So I'm
or
pretty sure we're gonna get robbed.
yeah, yeah.
It's like
Right.
the
Like
people have a key to this house and they're coming in, they're just stealing all our shit while we're asleep.
yeah, it just didn't seem right. So yeah, we just pulled the pin on it completely. But
That's a
uh,
bit tough.
Man, I'd love to go to the US. I just want to go to try all the foods.
the foods,
Did you
man,
eat them?
like to be honest with you, it's whatever, man.
Yeah,
Like
it's just food. It's just fucked in big portions. Like I reckon that's the biggest
maybe
way to sort of gauge it.
yeah, maybe like 20 years ago, it's probably a little bit different in terms of like the quality or the different types of foods and what have you. But like nowadays, there's really nothing substantially different from what you get over there to what you can get
What you
here
can
if you
get
go to
here,
the right
yeah.
place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was even saying like me and my partner were in Palm Cove up in Cairns over the weekend just gone.
Mm.
And everyone was telling us to go to this restaurant. Everyone was telling us to go to some restaurant in Palm Cove. They're like, it's so good. It's such a good restaurant. You have to go. You have to go.
Mm.
Anyway, we went. We booked. We're like, fuck it. We booked it like fucking 2 weeks before we went because like they had fuck all bookings. And we went, bro. And I was sitting there eating, and I was like, this wouldn't even crack like a top 50 in Melbourne. Like
Yeah.
it would not even, not a fucking chance. Like the food in Melbourne is so fucking good compared to like everywhere in Australia. It's insane, like variety wise, like you've got so many different cultures you can go to. Like there's so many restaurants that just open up.
Like
Like
the only things that are kind of like really appealing are kind of like your like the branding of like going to a Chipotle or like a
yeah,
Raising
like an
Cane's or something like that.
IHOP or
Yeah.
like
Yeah, yeah. Like
Chick-fil-A and just things
for
like that.
more of the experience of going to that restaurant than it is the food that that
Yeah.
restaurant kind of
Actual
provides
And
taste
then
you.
you
of
go
it.
and you eat it and you're like, this is so average.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah, yeah.
Raising Cane's was good when I had Raising Cane's there.
I will concede on Raising Cane's. Raising Cane's is insane.
Yeah. Yeah, but then you go to like your IHOP and your Denny's and all that kind of thing and you eat it and it's just sort of like I think it's just the idea of it. It's
Yeah, that's just processed like
yeah,
crap, man. Like regardless.
pancake or something. It's like a cinnamon roll pancake. It's like I can make this at home.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, do we have time for any fast firing questions, or are we sort
Yeah,
of
man, of
out of
course we
time?
got
I didn't even
time.
know what time we started this.
Always got time.
All right,
Nah, we're
let's just
chilling.
get into it, eh? All right. All right, you know what? I'm just gonna read them out and we can all answer.
We can all answer. Okay.
Yep, fuck it. Alrighty, first one. What movie could you rewatch over and over again without getting bored?
Oh, fuck,
Um,
I don't know. Can't put me in a spot like that.
Yeah, fuck you, bro. You can figure it out.
I can't
I,
even think of
that's
what my favorite movie is.
that's crazy because I had four movies that came to my mind like straight away.
Really? Ah,
Yeah.
fuck,
I
I
had
don't know.
one.
Have you seen the Dune movies?
Nah,
Dune.
you know what's funny? I actually
Third
haven't.
one, but not the second one.
Um, for some reason, I couldn't tell you why, and it's not like because I think that they're the greatest movies ever, but they've like I've watched Dune 1 and Dune 2. This is not an exaggeration. I wish I was joking when I said this.
Yeah.
Probably 30 times each since like
Oh
Christmas.
shit.
It's like I do, to be fair, like I do a lot of work from home, right? And I'm like I
Yeah.
always have something like playing in the background.
Background, yeah.
And like for me, usually I'll like put the basketball on because it's like the middle of the day, which is perfect for the time over there. So I'll
Yeah.
just like watch the basketball. But then I find myself like
Like drifting.
focusing so much on the basketball.
Yeah.
Like one check-in will take an hour and a half because I'm like just staring at the TV
Yeah.
like the entire
Oh,
time.
fuck, I'm so bad with that, bro.
Yeah. So
And
it's
that with
like
YouTube videos.
yeah. So like I'll put like a movie like that on, which is kind of like just really nice melodic background music, and I can kind
Yeah.
of like
Is the
I,
second one as good as the first?
yeah, I thought it was better.
fuck,
Yeah.
maybe I have to watch both.
Yeah, they're really good, man. Like I'm actually a really big fan of them.
Yeah. Fuck. What about
Um,
you, Jude? What's your movie?
I was gonna go with Interstellar. I don't know, something about that movie
Interstellar.
is good.
You
It's
know what
it's
I thought? I
that's a
did.
good one.
man, it's so good.
I thought of in the Avengers, Infinity War and Endgame.
Well,
Oh yeah.
the other two movies that came to mind for me were Dark Knight
Oh yeah.
And then Avengers Endgame. They're like I
Yeah.
could watch those like on repeat.
Yeah. Like that was like when I was sitting there thinking about it, that was like the only one where I've sat there and I was like, I reckon I've watched it about five, six times.
Yeah.
Because
Well, they're
like
pretty much
I
like
watched a movie once and then and then the other one that I thought I was White Chicks because I fucking love
That's a classic.
yeah.
I watched that about 20 times as well.
Yeah.
I had a similar question that came onto my story Q&A like a few weeks ago, and I remember now that you said the Batman movies. I said them. I said Interstellar, and I also said Christmas movies, so like Home Alone and shit. Because
Oh
every
yeah.
year I watch them like Christmas Eve or the week before, and you watch it every single year, and it never really gets boring. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
Christmas movie time, let's chuck
That's
it
because
on.
you watch it once a year. So
Yeah,
it's
that's also
boring.
true. Yeah, but who else watches a fucking movie like one after another
Who
every
else
week
watches a
unless you're
Christmas
Matt with
movie
June,
outside of
June,
the
June, fucking.
I'm autistic as fuck, man. Don't judge anything you do and compare it to anything I do because it's not going to end well for you at all. Trust me.
Well, that brings me to the next question.
Yeah.
What's your biggest pet peeve?
Pet peeve.
Yeah.
Oh, for some reason, like people not putting their plates away infuriates me beyond.
Oh fuck, bro! It's funny you say that. The one that I was just thinking is my biggest pet peeve is when my missus leaves dishes in the sink when she could have easily put them in the dishwasher. I lose it all the time. Like, why is this in the sink? She's like, I was in a rush, and I'm like, what? You're in such a rush that you couldn't put it in the dishwasher at the same time.
Wait, no, I'm talking about weight plates in the gym. You
Oh,
fucking.
you're talking weight plates. I'm talking fucking dishes.
I
I
was like,
also
how
hate
is
that
that? I was like, how is that related to anything I just said? Like, my dude just wanted to shit on his missus real quick. Like,
though. Tell her all the time. I reckon I've said that before in a podcast as well. I reckon I've been asked about pet peeves before.
Actually, I saw a story the other day. The
and
guy
it
from
was like, so she'll just leave her like dishes in the sink. Is that what you're saying?
So, like, instead of putting it in the dishwasher, she'll just
Yeah.
like have a glass and she'll put the glass in the sink.
Ooh,
It's
yeah.
like, put them in the dishwasher. But then look, she doesn't do it all the time, but often it follows up with the excuse that she's in a rush. And it's
Mm.
like,
Oh,
what do you mean you're in a rush? Doesn't matter. You put it in the fucking dishwasher.
it's either that one or it's the I might come back and use it again.
Oh no, that's me. I use that one, but that's when it's out. That's not in the sink. I'll leave my glass out, and I'll be like, oh, I was going to use it later.
I saw a story talking about gym plates. This guy in Sydney, that Body Beyond guy. And he posted a story and he was saying because he owns a gym there and he was going,
Mm.
you know, we sell stories these days like people like saying put your plates away, but here if you want to leave your weights on, we use big boy weights here so you can leave your plates on and all our staff are
Nah,
getting
bro.
paid to put them away. And I'm like, man, I'd hate to train there if that's the way it goes.
Interesting. I'd love to know the angle in which he was taking that. I know Stan pretty well. He's usually a pretty good dude, so there was probably some
Yeah.
merit behind it for something. But
Maybe it was a joke or taking the
Yeah,
piss.
I
I
was
don't
going to
know.
say
But
maybe
it
he's joking.
seemed, when I watched it, it seemed legit and people were sharing it around. I don't know.
oh, okay, yeah. No, it's like it grinds my
That's
gears, man. It's
yeah.
like for a multitude of reasons. Like I remember one of the worst ones I ever had was, a guy left like 8 plates aside on a leg press or something like that.
Fuck that.
And like, I had a real big issue with it. I was probably like 4 weeks out at the time, was looking for a fight, but that's beside the point. Um, and yeah, he was like, no, I don't give a fuck. And for me, I'm like, I grew up with sisters, I coach like petite women, right? Like
Yeah.
girls don't want to be unloading 16 plates off the fucking leg press before they're trying to train. Like,
Mm.
and he got really like egotistical and kind of arrogant about it, and I had to like do some box breathing and walk away. It was really not a good time.
They're gonna say some boxing, and I thought, fuck this.
It's knocking me out.
I look like this because I can't fight, bro. I tell everyone that I can't fight with this shit. This is all a defense mechanism. Like muscles and tattoos are all a defense mechanism.
Bro, we'd suck in a fight. Like even like a
Terrible,
street
bro.
brawl. I reckon would be horrible.
And the problem is when you look the size we do and we look as the way we do, you become a fucking walking target anytime you go out anywhere. So
Yeah, and then you get bashed, and then and people fucking think you're some
Fucking
pussy. And it's like, well, we are. We just lift weights.
yeah,
We
yeah.
can't fight.
It's like when people are
I
like,
lift
oh,
weights
lift
because
this.
I'm a pussy. What are you talking about?
Like lift this, you must be strong. And it's like, nope, no, they're just for looks.
They're just
Bro,
I can't lift it. Like I can't lift a couch.
when I was concreting, like I worked with like old school Italians, like just everything's the old way, bro. Just backwards everything. Just the hardest way you could do it for no reason, right? We have an excavator and like we'd break up concrete and do removals and stuff, but we just still pick up the pieces up by hand. There'd be massive boulders of concrete, right? And like use the fucking excavator. Anyway, like we'd pick it up, like it fucks your back picking up a wonky piece of concrete that's like 60, 70 kilos. And I'd be there, like, bro, at the time I was like 18, 19. And they're like, you go to the fucking gym, why can't you do it? I'm like, man, that has nothing to do with
It
picking
doesn't
the
carry
up.
over. It doesn't carry over.
I know, like,
No,
fuck.
this is the exact same thing as like because everything in my life I relate back to something basketball related because that's kind of like what I grew up doing, right? So that's the exact same equivalent as when you tell people that you're like a professional basketball player or you play basketball for a living, and you just like go to throw something in the bin and you miss,
Yeah.
Mm.
and everyone's like, "Oh, but you play basketball." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not throwing a fucking like piece of rubbish paper into the bin for a living. Like it's very
Yeah.
different. Like the context is not the
Not the
same."
same. It's like it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not at all. What
Alrighty.
was your pet peeve, Jude?
I was thinking something gym related. The first thing that came to me was the plates, but I thought I want to try thinking something different. But now I'm thinking I can't think of anything else off the top of my head.
Well, you can have the plates one, and for me, it's like people chewing with their mouth open. I'll murder your whole family if you do that
Yeah,
around.
I hate that too. I'm
Or
not a big
chewing gum like a fucking cow.
horse.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
fuck
can't
that.
do it.
Um, Alrighty. Oh, actually, you know what? One more, which is a bit of a controversial one. Not really, but like I hate when like I ask someone, how many sets have you got left? And they say like, oh, I got like 6 sets. But then they don't offer you to like join in.
Jump in.
So then I always just say, okay, all right, sweet. You don't mind if I'm
Oh,
jumping? Yeah, and
I got a
then
worse one. I got a worse one. Well, they say 1 or 2 sets and then they go take a piss.
Oh, okay. So we're definitely discovering a hierarchy here.
yeah.
Because whenever whenever this is like an ongoing joke in the gym, it's like whenever I ask someone how many sets they've got left
They
and
have
they see
none.
me coming, they're always like, "No, this is my last one, bro. This is my last one," and then they get the fuck off the machine.
It definitely is.
So,
Yeah.
so you just got to get to the size
Yeah.
that
To kick them off.
to intimidate people enough that all you got to do is ask how many sets they got left, and the answer is always one more, bro. One more, I promise.
I'll be honest with you. I reckon I'm very rarely asked. I just skip the exercise and go to a different variation. I don't even ask people because I can't be fucked.
And
I can't be
then
fucked waiting and I can't be fucked having a conversation.
I did someone pretty dirty yesterday, and I didn't think that this was an inappropriate thing to say, but someone overheard the conversation and was like, "Bro, that's diabolical that you just did that." So we've only got two like Smith machines at our gym, and yesterday I really wanted to incline Smith press, um, and I like walked up, and as I was walking to the machine, a dude literally ran and overtook me to get to the machine before I did, right?
No way.
Like dead set, yeah. To the point where I was like,
What the fuck?
"Did that really,
Is that what
that
the fuck
really
just
just happen?
happened?
Did that really just happen?" Anyway, so I kind of made a joke about it because I'm like I wasn't going to be a dick. I was like, "Did you like just overtake me to get to the machine first?" And he's like, "Oh, like I didn't see you there. Sorry." He's like, and he goes, "Do you want to work in with me?" And I literally looked him up and down, and I was like, "Nah, bro, I don't want to do that to you."
Fuck.
I would have said, nah,
Like,
bro. I don't want to have to take the plates on and off.
yeah, like that's kind of what I was insinuating. And I kind of just like walked away and was like, "Oh, I'll go onto the peg fly and I'll come back or whatever." And someone saw it happen, and they were like, "That was brutal, bro." I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it like that. I was just kind of
You
saying
know
it.
what? You know
It's
what's more
annoying.
offensive to this poor cunt? The fact that at the start of the video, you're like, I love training with like little guys at the gym who just
Love
He
training with
still doesn't make
the
the cut.
younger, weaker kids.
Yeah. He doesn't even make that cut.
Yeah, and then I was still like, nah, bro, I ain't want to do that too. Oh, that's I didn't even make that connection. That's hilarious. Oh, that's too
It is
funny.
what it is. All right. Next one. What would be like a bit of a basic one, but what's like sort of your favorite off plan if you had to choose? Like once a week, you can go out for something to eat. What would be your go-to?
I'm a big breakfast person. Like I love
Okay.
breakfast. So for me, it's like give me like a big brekkie board or like a big stack of pancakes or something like that. Like I'd take that over kind of like a burger or a pizza any day a week.
Mm. I love a good breakfast. The only
Yeah.
thing with breakfast, like I feel like when I go out for breakfast, I just in my head it's like you've had a shit start to your day. Not that it's true, but it's like
What?
routine's out of whack now.
Nah, bro. I reckon it's the best one to go out for because then you can track the rest of your day accordingly.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
I
there's
find that like I'll
big
if I
fat
do like a really good big hearty breakfast and then kind of like do a good chunk of the day, have another meal and then go train, I end up always having like a really good session.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
My only problem with breakfast is I end up having to get so much food that it costs me a fucking fortune.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the one bad thing about Melbourne. The prices with food is pretty stupid.
Dude, I lived in New York for a week.
Is that super expensive there?
I
Yeah,
just get
crazy, bro.
bagels every day, mate. What are you doing?
Crazy, bro. It's actually not too bad. It's actually not too bad. But like,
Worse than here.
Bagels and a protein shake.
yeah, and you're paying $20, $25.
Uh,
That's US as well, though. That's not like just
Yeah.
that was the thing that kind of threw me because I would kind of be like, oh, everything's like pretty reasonably priced.
Yeah.
Like I expected it to be more expensive.
Yeah.
And then it clicks after I paid for it that I paid it in American dollars and the
Yeah.
exchange rate's fucking terrible right now. So I
Yeah.
was like, oh, it's probably like 40% more expensive than what I thought it was.
Bad. And it's like you
Yeah.
see in a menu, you're like, oh, $10 for that. It's like that's pretty good. And then you pay the $10 and then they put the tax on top of it, and then you got the exchange rate.
Yeah. So in Australian
Bad.
dollars, it's probably like 19 to $21.
Yeah.
Like it's almost twice as much.
Yeah.
they must come here and lick their lips.
They
Yeah.
do. Absolutely. But they
The
just don't
worst, the
come
worst
here
one
because
for
it's so
me
far.
was like when I was in the US, like when I was at college there, and like I didn't comprehend like the tax part of it. Like we're all broke, right? We're college students, like we don't have any money. So like you'd go to Walmart and like get all your groceries. So I'm like doing the math in my head, like as I'm like buying different things. I'm like, okay, that's like $4, that's like $4. Then we go to the cash register and they scan it all, and it's like $40 more expensive than what I thought. I was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, because they just got to add all the taxes on top of it.
The worst bit about the taxes is that every state has a different tax as well.
And they have different taxes on different items as well. So like some states will
Yeah.
have like a tobacco tax, some states will have a liquor tax, and they
Yeah.
vary like depending on what state you're in. It's
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
That's shit as.
Insane.
Yeah.
I would not like that.
Annoying.
All right. Let's go more of a bit of a gym related one. If there's any bodybuilder you could train with, like past or present, anyone, just a one-off, who would it be?
Oh. Okay. Do it. Is it to enjoy the session or is it to like to have the best session?
I reckon a bit of both. Bit of
Because
both.
it's like,
Could do one for each.
yeah. Because like my first thought was be like, could you imagine like training with Branch Warren or Tom Platz or something like that? That shit would be like crazy. But it would be so painful and you wouldn't enjoy it like at
You
all. Like
wouldn't. You wouldn't.
you
You
get a
feel
lot
like
out of
you're
it.
gonna die.
Yeah,
It's a hard question.
If
yeah.
I you know what, man? I feel like Dorian Yates wouldn't be a bad one
You know what? Okay, no, actually, I've got my
back in
answer.
the
The best
day
one would be training at Venice Beach
with Arnold.
with Arnold. That would be
Yeah,
that. There's no way that wouldn't be the best fucking session of your life. Like,
Just
yeah.
nostalgic.
yeah,
If we're going present right now, who I'd like to train with, I feel like if you were to train with Martin and Brett Wilkin,
yeah, that would be good
Oh
fun.
yeah.
wouldn't that be pretty wild? I feel like that'd be a good session. I feel like they always fucking go hard when they train
Yeah,
together.
and
Yeah.
they have good banter and shit talk as well when they
Yeah,
train as well.
I reckon Derek would be a good one as well because he just trains like a nutcase.
An animal.
yeah.
Screaming in your ear the whole time would be a bit of fun for like a present guy.
I'm not a big screaming guy though. Like
Yeah, I'm not a big screaming guy either.
Yeah, no, I had the screaming as well, but sort of like he's when you see him train with like Matt, like he'll be screaming at Grego while
Mm.
he's training. It's like it sort of pushes you a little bit as well.
yeah, yeah.
But no, I'm not loud, bro. I don't know. I just can't scream. Like I grunt a bit, but like
Like
not.
if you wanted a peaceful, hard session, you could train with Chris Bumstead.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, for
Every
sure.
time you watch him train, just like you look so peaceful while you're training. It's
I
like
could
Yeah.
sleep to that.
it's like fucking ridiculous.
That's probably a very similar style of training to like the way that I train. I'm very methodical with like my training approach now, and I mean it's probably because I'm old and I can't train the same way I used to. But yeah, it's like the tempo of which I train and the thought process around my training, and it's never too over the top. It's very controlled.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. All right.
Um, but it'd still be nice to try and like squat 800 pounds with Ronnie Coleman or like do 400 hack squats or something ridiculous, you know?
Yeah, it was like, well, I think it was you that I was telling the other day, Jude. I was saying because I trained at Michael Lucy's gym now, undefeated in Cremorne. Anyway, and like I think I was telling you, Jude, and I was like, every time I'm training, if I'm going into a top set, I make sure Mike's doing a set before I start my set
Yeah, yeah.
because I'm like, I don't want him coming over to me and fucking forcing about 20 extra reps that I know I can probably get onto
Well,
me.
the
That's
one, the
that's
one,
definitely a thing.
the
Yeah,
one day I was there and we were recording and I was doing that hack squat when you were spotting me, James.
yeah.
I felt like it was like my fifth rep or something. It was pretty heavy, and I looked over to where Mike was, and I saw like he was all the way at the desk. And I'm like, oh, I'm good. I can just do this on my own without him coming over. Because bro, fuck that. Like, it's good as a
Half the
warm-up.
time he wanders over anyway.
Yeah, does he?
Yeah, and you're like,
I
where the fuck did
remember
you come from? It's
Has
like,
he
get
had a
away from
set where
me.
he's pushed you?
It's like,
Has
oh,
he
that's
come,
it. The set stops.
has he come up to you yet?
Has he what?
Come up to you yet mid-set for anything?
Yeah, once.
Did he kill you?
Yeah.
it. I had one time where that happened back when like when he was at one gym I was training at,
Mm.
and I went in and yeah, I was just chatting shit. He's like, "What do you got today?" I'm like, "I got legs." He's like, "You got Cybex hack squat?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll probably like try and whack like 6 plates on it today." Like I was feeling pretty good about myself. Blah blah blah. And he's like, "Yeah, cool. Come grab me before you do the set." And I was like, "Yeah, cool." I didn't really think too much of it. I was like, "Yeah, cool. Like no worries." And like as we're walking away, like one of my training partners that was there was like,
Do
"Do
not
not get it, dude.
get. Do not get.
Do not go get him before your set. Like, trust me." I was like, "Oh, really?" But yeah, that was an interesting interesting interaction.
Do you remember from one gym, the bald guy? I can't remember what country he was from, Adam. He left the country now. I don't know if you trained there when he was one of the trainers there. He had a
Adam.
bald head, big,
He
pretty
was like
big.
Sir. He was like Serbian or something.
Yeah, that guy. He's on my Instagram, one of my first posts. I did a hack squat. I think it was
Yeah.
3 or 4 plates aside or something. This was years ago. I had the red plates, the 25s. And like back then, bro, I wasn't that strong. And it ended up being like a 25 rep set. He just grinded me through every one. I went straight to the toilets that session. I munted and then I left. I couldn't finish the session. It was horrible, bro. It's still on my Instagram, that video of me doing it. It was absolutely fucked. It just ruined me, destroyed me. Way too much. I think kind of scarred me from having someone to push me through my sets a bit, to be honest.
Yeah, you've got to have someone read the energy and read the room. Sometimes you can do
Yeah.
too much, man. Like,
Yeah, bro, that was the fuck definition of too much.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, this is a bit of a not really a tricky one, but if you had 30 seconds to convince someone to start lifting, what would you tell them in that 30 seconds?
Fuck.
Well, we've just wasted six thinking what we're going to say.
I just tell them they can get jacked.
Well, I'd show them a photo of me before I started lifting, and then show them a photo of me
Ah,
now, and said, "There you go.
this is all natural.
Yeah, this is all you need to do to never get
You
another girl. And
lift weights and eat food.
if you never want to get another girl ever again, and only get guys asking you what your cycle is and how much you bench, then this is what you got to do.
If you don't want girls to ever talk to you again.
Never ever, never ever again.
In all seriousness, I reckon I'd bring up the mental side of things as well, like how much mentally stronger it makes you.
For sure.
Yeah.
Just with everything in life.
Tell that to my insecurities and body dysmorphia, you piece of
Yeah.
shit.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, I'm the fucking same. Hasn't made me mentally strong at all. If anything, it's made me worse.
It's like it's one of those reels where it's like 5 years ago I was like super depressed. I'm like I'm still super depressed. I've just got bigger muscles now. It's okay.
It's so true. Oh, fucking hell.
Um,
But yeah, you could definitely like obviously you'd go at it from like a health benefit standpoint, both physically and mentally, and
mm,
in terms of you bring up research about longevity and quality of living, especially like deep into like elderly age and what have you, like the evidence and science behind a strong skeletal mass after the age of 50, 60 years old is exponentially different. So
yeah, for
um,
sure.
mm.
All right. What's the worst fitness advice you've ever been given?
Fruit's bad for you? I don't know. That was the first one that came to my head.
Fruit's bad for you.
Yeah.
That's fucking awful.
Yeah. The worst bit of fitness advice.
Mm.
Don't eat carbs if you want to lose weight.
Yeah, there's so many, right?
Um,
Um,
My favorite. This isn't really fitness advice, but my favorite one is $69 for a tub of creatine monohydrate.
wait, what? Why?
I'm saying because like fucking you can get creatine for like $20.
That's what
And
I'm
people,
saying. Like, why is
yeah,
someone paying that much money? That's
that's
ridiculous.
what they sell it for at like fucking all the supplement shops.
Oh
And
man.
people still buy it. And that's like always beginners. It's like I've had so many clients where I'm like, here's a link, get the creatine from here. And they're like, oh, I just
Yeah.
ended up getting it from like Nutrition Warehouse. I'm like, how much was it? And it was like, yeah, $69. And it's like, what the fuck do you mean? It's like the one I sent you was like 25 and then you get
Yeah.
more. Like it's the same fucking creatine
The next week they cancel because they haven't
because
got
they can't afford
They can't
it.
afford it. They can't afford
Man, this thing's getting really expensive.
it.
enough.
Yeah.
All right. If there was one person in the world that you could just live in their shoes for one day, just to see what their life is like, who would it be?
LeBron
LeBron.
James.
Oh, legit, LeBron.
That's my
Legit
go-to
though.
answer every time,
Yeah.
baby. LeBron James.
It'd
That
probably
would
be
be
LeBron.
freaking cool, bro.
Or
He's
fuck,
fun.
LeBron James. Or it'd be some really fucking successful fucking mogul. Like a
No, he'd just
Bezos
be
or a
busy. He'd just be
fucking
busy working all day. Like if
Elon Musk or a Bezos or fucking someone like that.
Elon Musk would be fun, especially with like all the space shit.
Yeah, nah, just in general, bro. Just someone that has like an abundance of fucking money
so
and like
you've got
success.
24 hours to be in that person.
Yep.
Because that's the
Do I have everything that they have? Like, do I have like, say for example, if I'm LeBron, do I have LeBron's basketball skills?
I thought you were gonna say like
Yeah.
LeBron's wife or something like that.
If I have his skills, yeah, I'd probably go LeBron.
Yeah, like
I'd
you're
just
just
go any like elite athlete.
Yeah.
yeah. See, I go now
What it's
because of
like to be good at a
background.
sport for once.
So like
Yeah, yeah.
like a really successful like soccer player would be fun just to see what it's like
Yeah,
to be on that pitch like on the big stage. That's just because of my background. So for example,
yeah,
Ron, same thing.
Yeah, for sure.
It'd be cool to see like what one of these top level sporting athletes feel when they walk on a stage on like the biggest stage. That
yeah.
would be cool.
Yeah.
Like Game 7
Oh yeah.
NBA Finals.
Like that feeling.
But then
And then
that's
shit in the
interesting as
bed.
well. Is like because if you put LeBron into that category, like surely he doesn't feel the same way that he has for like the last 22 years, right? If you
Yeah,
the idea of like
doesn't need pressures.
Messi walking out onto the pitch now and like having that attention and that admiration and what have you nowadays would kind of almost be like worn off a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is true.
Um, yeah, but it'd be cool if like you had like if it was your consciousness in their body, right? So you were kind of experiencing it for the first time.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like I guess if you're being like someone for a day, because I feel like if you're like a Jeff Bezos or a Elon Musk or whatever, I feel like their day is just so
yeah. Monotonous.
yeah, I don't know, like they're just in meetings all day or working or I don't
I
know.
just like to be in their brain, I reckon.
I don't know if I'd like to be on Elon Musk's brain, bro.
I don't
There's
know. Like, I just
weird
like to
shit going
see
on in there.
how their like fucking brain works.
Dude, if I was Elon Musk for a day, I would get straight onto a rocket ship and fly to the moon immediately.
I've been getting so into space recently, it's ridiculous. I don't know what it is. Like you see my whole like For You page is all space,
So
man. It's
you did share,
crazy.
didn't you share something that was space related not long ago on your
Yeah,
story?
bro. Most fucked fact. I said this on the last podcast, but I'm
If
gonna
you
have to
want to
say
feel
it again.
insignificant about your life, start looking into space, man.
Yeah, bro. This is I was saying this to Ryan because he was asking me about that post on the last potty. But if you picture right, picture the beach, any beach in like say Melbourne, right? All the sand.
Is this the grain of sand reference?
Yeah, yeah. Did you say that?
Oh
Fuck.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know
Yeah.
the one.
Explain
Yeah,
it though. Explain it. Explain it.
Yeah, well, it's like so for every grain of sand on Earth. So think how much sand is at one beach, let alone the whole Earth. Each grain of sand represents roughly 1 billion planets at the
Mm,
moment. Like,
yeah.
how can you fathom that,
It's
bro? That's fucking
undiscovered.
stupid. Like, it's
And
actually
it's like,
gross.
and people think we're the only life that's in the entire universe.
Yeah.
Like, run me through that. Like, I don't even I reckon there'd be like another planet that is like us somewhere else.
Well, I think
Like,
it's like a very similar reference where it's like if you think of the all the water in the ocean in the entire world, right?
mm,
And you take a like a glass out of your kitchen and you scoop up a glass of water out of the ocean. That's how much we know about our universe, right?
yeah,
That's how much we can see of our solar system or universe or whatever. And like the rest of the water outside of that cup is what we don't know yet.
yeah.
Well, space used to give me really bad anxiety as a kid. Like, I used to have like
That's
therapy
why you
when I
like
was
it
younger
now.
because I used to have like nightmares and shit about it. It was crazy, right?
That's space.
And
So
yeah, bro.
random.
I know, right? Crazy. And that's why since I had like that, I was like trauma from that as a kid. I've always neglected space, never wanted to think about it because it just give me crazy anxiety. But this year, like now that I think into it and now I've been getting into it, it's like it cures anxiety or anxious feelings because it's just like it makes you relax. It's like, look how much shit's out there. Who gives a fuck what's
Yeah,
happening on this planet half the
like
time? So
life.
like, yeah, so it's like
Talking about
I've turned it into something that actually helps relax me before I go to bed. I read about it. I'm like, fuck, I'm going to sleep, bro. I don't need to think about anything else. This world is just nothing really
it's like
compared to what's out there.
my psychology degree kicks in there, and all I want to do is tell you that space scares you because you fear the unknown.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, that's literally what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
it's a
life though. As soon as you start thinking about life and like what we are, and it's just sort of you sit there and think you just deep dive into a hole and it's sort of like fuck.
Yeah, because if you expand on that a little bit more as well, it's like as a kid, you fear the unknown. So, everyone always says that you're scared of what you can't comprehend. Whereas
Mm.
now you're a little bit older and you understand that growth comes from putting yourself in uncomfortable circumstances. So the unknown is welcomed now. So you
Yeah.
understand that just because you don't know about it doesn't mean that you have to fear it. You can welcome the unknown, and that's usually where growth comes, right?
Yeah.
From things that are uncomfortable. So it's probably says a lot about your growth as a human being now that you're not scared of it anymore.
yeah, it's a great way to put it.
I got into looking up the pyramids and how they were built a while ago.
Oh man,
That blows my mind.
That
we
one's a
can go
big fucking
we
hole.
can go deep into
Yeah,
conspiracy.
that one's huge. I found some like YouTube channel with some random cunt, and he had so many YouTube videos on there. It's not even him speaking. It's like one of those ones where it's like an AI voice is talking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But like, man, it was just like I was listening to something. I got to a point where I was like, I have to stop watching this.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do this to myself.
man, I go so deep into rabbit holes and conspiracy theories on YouTube, especially when I'm in prep. I was like, I remember there was about a week of time in prep once that I got so deep down a rabbit hole of like conspiracy theories that I was um, like Hitler wasn't real, and like the entire like World War II was like a fabrication, and like none of it really happened, and like I was like, what the fuck, bro? Like,
Yeah, that's fucked.
you know,
Tupac's still alive.
yeah,
You know,
The Holocaust was a setup, and
fuck.
Hitler's still alive, and I was like, all
That
right,
one.
I need to eat some food and get out of this.
Shit.
Yeah, it's crazy. All that shit is so fascinating. Even the
Yeah, man.
one, bro, like all the recent stuff they're saying, like, oh, there were giants back then, and that's how they built it.
Yeah.
The worst part is like we'll never really find out. Well, not
No,
for a
we'll
while.
never know.
You never know.
You never know. So it's just the more you watch it, the more you dig yourself deeper into just thinking about more shit that you'll never find out the truth to.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the last one that I've got here. This is more so just for like you, Matt. What's just one thing that not many people really know about you?
Oh, the list
Or
is
like, yeah.
list is long and distinguished, my friend. Um, yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess not a lot of people know that, I have such a big sporting background. Um, people some people know that I sort of played, but like, I've spent 3 years playing collegiate basketball, and that's usually something that people are always like, oh, really? Whenever I sort of explain it. And the fact that I do have, a psychology background is something that a lot of people know as well.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I didn't know that actually till now.
mm.
Yeah.
And what did you study this more so when you were younger?
Yeah, when I was in the US, that's what I majored in when,
That's
when
the
I went.
imagine when you were, yeah, working.
Yeah.
When you're doing basketball, sorry.
Okay.
What about you,
Um,
Jude, mate? Jude, what's something people don't know about you?
Something that people don't know much about me. I mean, there's a lot, but something that would be interesting to people. I feel like for this, what industry we're in, it always relates back to what we did prior to like lifting. So again, for me, it's like sport. And all I've spoken about is soccer, but realistically, I actually started off playing tennis. Like
mm.
played that for like a bit. I was so bad at tennis. And then I went into footy and played that until I was just started year seven. I was actually all right. I was like that like skinny fat kid who didn't have that like that athleticism, but it was more so just strength. So I was more like the bulky one. So like I'd just be thrown forward and that's all I could really do. Make me run out of the center, but I'd gas out and die. So then went into soccer and I played that for like 7 years, I think.
Mm.
Oh, maybe longer, maybe 8 years. And then yeah, bro, cracked my ankle in half, started training in the gym and never looked back.
It's always an injury, right?
Yeah.
I find that it's always someone that played a team sport and then they get injured, so they have to rehabilitate, which usually involves strength training.
Yeah.
And then, it always seems to be an injury or from a team sport. You think about everyone that has been successful in the bodybuilding world, almost everyone has grown up playing a team
Then it's
sport, you
sport.
know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Phil Heath played team sports, like, all those guys sort
Then
of
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
they've decided to stop relying on a team and they want to go do an individual goal.
must be nice to have those genetics, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that wraps us off for time, actually. What is it, 11:20? It does. Well, hope everyone enjoyed listening. Thanks heaps, Matt, for jumping on board with us. If there's anything,
Man.
anyone you want to mention, you've got your podcast
Give
as
you
well.
shout outs, give you
I
sponsors.
I'm not gonna lie, I totally forgot that we were doing a podcast and I thought we were just chatting shit, so I can't remember if I said anything inappropriate. Um, but yeah, no, so yeah, I do a lot of my work on Instagram. So Matthew Orchard on Instagram's me. Peak Performance is where I'm working at right now, and that's the family that I live with. So Peak Performance, Matthew Orchard, bodybuilding, psychologist, June watcher, pineapple on pizza eating person. That's me.
IFBB Pro.
Ah,
NBA.
yeah, you can throw that in. You can throw that in. That's whatever. It's what I do. It's not who I am. Ain't that right?
That's it. Start and finish with the same line.
That's it. I love it. I appreciate you guys having me on, man. I was like really, really humbling when Jude reached out and wanted to get me on. So I'm always happy to shoot the shit, and we'll have to get a session in with the three of us somewhere. Maybe
Fuck.
we'll go to Mike's gym when Mike's not there, and we'll train legs together.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Nah, I'm not. Nah, we'll stay away from the league session. You guys can do
Yeah.
it. Thanks, man.
Thanks,
Easy
bro.
done. Appreciate it. See you guys.